Welcome to Exotics Racing. I am Mike and this is our Ferrari F430 F1. Now this Ferrari is the predecessor to the 458 Italia, and like all the other Ferraris you'd expect, beautiful simplistic styling designed by Pininfarina. Includes functional design elements like all these air intake scoops you see everywhere. For instance, these back here, these feed air into the engine bay. Not only do they look good, but they actually provide a functional element to the design of the car. Now back behind the driver's head, we have a 4.3 liter V8 engine. And although it may sound small, this engine still produces 490 horsepower, capable of getting this Ferrari down the road from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just under 4 seconds. All of that power makes its way to the rear wheels through a 6-speed gearbox, which is capable of making shifts at just 100 milliseconds. It's pretty much instantaneous. Now this beautiful car is nice to look at from the outside, but it's also nice to look at from the inside. Let's take a look. Here we are inside the Ferrari F430 F1. Now just like the outside, the interior styling is very simplistic yet beautiful at the same time. Not a whole lot to it. Now there's beautiful hand-stitched Italian leather, of course, as you'd expect from Ferrari, but also some carbon fiber accents, a little bit of that race-inspired feel. But all of the controls, everything's either through the steering wheel or on the center console. Now there's no gear stick or anything like that. Everything's operated gear-wise via the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. If you need to get in reverse, it's a simple click of a button on the center console. Also on the steering wheel is all your different levels of traction control. You can choose from snow to wet weather to regular sport driving, race. Let's see what this thing can actually do on the racetrack. Being that this is our entry-level Ferrari, don't let that fool you. This is one of the fastest cars you're ever going to be able to drive on a racetrack. It is a Ferrari, of course. The engine behind you makes a beautiful noise as you're going around the racetrack. Now, one of the best parts about this is that it's a mid-engine rear-wheel drive setup. It leads to a very balanced car through the corners. Very easy to drive fast, nice handling, very predictable handling. Now, the braking in the car also works very well because of that mid-engine rear-wheel drive setup. That weight of the engine sits behind the driver, so you don't get as much as that dive on the nose when you slam the brakes on in a normal front engine car. So it kind of just hunkers down, stays flat on your braking, uses more of all 4 tires to help slow the car down, gives you a better brake pedal feel, gives you more consistent braking, and of course, better braking performance. The shifting in this car is also very crisp, very fast with their Ferrari's F1 6-speed gearbox. The acceleration definitely gets addicting. Revs all the way up to 8,500 RPMs this car. So it's a small bore V8, but with those high revs, makes a beautiful, beautiful noise. The turn in on this car is very nice and crisp down here through our bowl section, the 11-degree banked corner. Car just sits down, sets itself in the middle of that corner, just rails around it. Good. You got to balance the brakes a little bit in these cars, these mid-engine rear-wheel drive cars. You got to trail brake it into the corner. And what that means is you got to slowly release the brake pedal as you're entering the corner. Keep a little bit of brake pressure on as you're turning in. It keeps the front tires pushed into the pavement, helps them turn in a lot better. It gets you pointed back down the racetrack a lot sooner so you can get back on that throttle, get down to your next corner. Now everything on this car is very responsive. Compared to the Lamborghinis, it's a lot more tame. Now they have a prancing horse on the emblem for a reason, because that's a lot like what it's riding. Whereas the Lamborghinis, they have the bull. That car's a lot more like riding a bull. So if you want something a little bit easier, a little bit more forgiving, step into one of the Ferraris, try out the F430. This car is an exceptional balance of daily driving comfort and on-track speed. And there you have it, the Ferrari F430 F1. Now, if you want to buy one of these things for yourself, it's going to cost you around $220,000. But you can come out to one of our Exotics Racing locations and you can drive this car for 5 laps around a real racetrack for just $299. Now, if you want to add additional laps, you can do that for just $50 an extra lap. Come out here, live your dream, drive a Ferrari on a real racetrack. We'll see you there.